These are the practice problems for lesson 2. This is practice problem number 1. You're supposed to identify the pair of images that show a rotation and the pair that show a reflection. And so here's the pair that shows the rotation, and it's a 90-degree rotation counterclockwise. So going from this position, rotating 90 degrees in a counterclockwise direction to end up here. This one's a translation. It doesn't ask you about the translation, which pair forms a translation, but this is the one. And the last problem is which pair forms a reflection. It's not a rotation. If you think of this as a boot, and if this is the toe of the boot, and this is the heel of the boot, so this is the toe, and this is the heel, if you rotate this 180 degrees this way, notice that this toe then would end up in the wrong spot. It would end up over here, and the heel would end up over here. So this is not a rotation. It is a reflection. So a reflection is across this line of reflection. So each corresponding point goes to the opposite position. So this point goes to here. This point goes to here. These 2 points go to here and here. And these 2 points just go just across the line of reflection opposite right here. So these are reflections. This is the second problem. So you're supposed to describe how this image moves from one frame to the next. This is frame 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember, the name of this lesson is naming the moves. So can you use the proper language to describe these moves? Well, going from 1 to 2 is a translation. You're just sliding across. It's a translation. Now, because this figure is symmetrical, it has a line of symmetry right here, it could also be a reflection. And it could also be flipping over. You just can't tell. So this could either be a translation or a reflection. This is a little bit easier to see the reflection this way. So if I just go back and forth, you can see the reflection. But this can also be a rotation. So if you take this image and you rotate it 180 degrees in a counterclockwise, actually go either direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise, it will end up here. And I'm going to show you that in a few moments. 3 to 4 is a translation, or it could also be a reflection. And 4 to 5 is a reflection, and that one can also be a rotation. So let's look at 2 to 3 in detail, and you can see how that can be a rotation or a reflection. So this is a rotation going from 2 to 3, but first, this is a line of reflection. So this image in 2 goes to the image in 3. It reflects over this line of reflection. So this is 3 units, 1, 2, 3. If you draw this on a grid, so this is 1, and the line of reflection is halfway. It's 1.5 units. But a rotation, I'm going to draw the circle around which they're going to rotate, and the center of rotation is going to be right in the center here. It's halfway up and halfway over. So it's 1.5 units towards the upper image, and it's 1.5 units towards the middle. I think it might be 2 units towards the middle. And 2 units up if you go this way. If you look at it as a radius, it's 2 units. All right. So if you draw the circle and let it go through, make that circle go through these 2 points here and these 2 points down here. If you draw another circle around the 2 points that are the farthest apart, now you can control the size of the image as you rotate that image between those 2 circles around to the from the lower image to the upper image. So here we go. And you can keep these points on the outside circle, and keep these 2 points on the inside circle, and just rotate it around. And you can see that that can both be a rotation or a reflection. So this is the rotation, and then the reflection. The other hand. All right, last question. Now I changed this a little bit. It uses, in the question, it uses 40 degrees and 140 degrees. Those are supplementary angles, supplementary number of degrees. I changed it slightly to 45 and 135 because I put it on this grid and you can see the 45-degree angle move, and actually it's easier to visualize a 90-degree angle move and a 45-degree move, which is halfway, rather than a 40-degree move and a 140-degree move. Not much difference, still can figure out the same answer. What you're supposed to figure out is which rotation do you end up with, starting with this rectangle right here, and do you end up with a rectangle in this position right here, kind of pointing from the lower left to the upper right. Is it a 45-degree rotation or a 135-degree rotation? And so this is rotating in a counterclockwise direction. So you're going to go counterclockwise. That's a 45-degree rotation. So that's the answer right there. 45-degree rotation, you end up with this rectangle in the same position. 90-degree rotation is not an answer, and 135-degree rotation is not an answer. But now if you move that same rectangle, and I did these in green, if you move that same rectangle in a clockwise direction, then what degrees end up in the same position? So not 45 degrees. So now it's 45 degrees is not the correct position. 90 degrees is not the correct position. But 135 degrees is the correct position. So the answers are 45 degrees in a counterclockwise direction, going from here to here, and 135 degrees in a clockwise direction. Now notice how those angles are related. I'm going to put them together on the same line, and if I rotate, this is a 90-degree rotation, and this is a 45-degree rotation counterclockwise, and a 135-degree rotation clockwise. So they are supplementary angles. They end up on the same line. Go back. This is 135 degrees counterclockwise and 45 degrees clockwise. And again, they end up on the same line. They are supplementary angles. So they end up across from each other on the same line. All right. So the answers in your student workbook are a 40-degree rotation counterclockwise and a 135-degree rotation. I'm sorry, 140-degree rotation clockwise. So they use 40 degrees and 140 degrees.